All right, we are live, and the New York Mets are about to fucking put this season out of its misery. 4 games left. Trying to put a little bit of a speed bump into the Marlins season. How you guys feeling about putting a little speed bump into the Marlins season? Does it heal the wounds of 2007, 8, whatever, 9? I'm sure there were some other years where they gave it to us. Anyone feeling better at all?
Happy to play spoiler, but no.
Yeah, not at all. Fuck Hanley Ramirez.
Let me say this. If this was the Phillies, we'd feel a million times better because those fans actually care. The Marlins, no one cares about this.
Yep, that's true. So the times are changing here. The leaves are changing. It is almost October baseball. So we are going to do what every podcast is doing the last week of September, right? We're going to preview next season. So with that comes change in season. You should not be changing your beer, however, because fall doesn't have to be the buzzkill to your summer chill. Coors Light helps you find moments to unwind. If you have to do your grinding out at work, you're watching your baseball team bleed out, whatever it may be, you can follow with a happy hour, some friends, and a cold Coors Light. Decompress with a relaxing day on the trail that ends with a well-earned Coors Light. I hate my leaves because I have to rake them, but they look good, and I'll tell you, they smell good too. So you can get outside. It's the perfect weather now that it stopped raining for a little bit, and you get yourself a Coors Light. When the mountains are blue, it's ready for you. Drink it down. So Coors Light is the one when I choose, when I need to unwind. So when you want to hit reset, reach for the beer that's made to chill. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Drizzly or Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/believe. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. And speaking of Coors Light, we'll be bidding adieu to this season. Saturday, September 30th in the parking lot. We're going to have a little tailgate beforehand starting at 5:10 in the – Kyle, give it to me again.
Southfield lot.
Southfield lot, right by where the Long Island Railroad lets you out. It's a little boardwalk there. The train is right overhead for the 7 train. If you're coming from the city, you can park there as well if you're driving in like me from the burbs. We're going to set up our tent. We're going to have some cornhole. We're going to have some free merch to give away, all that stuff. And if you're coming from Barstool, the ballpark, we'll then be drinking in the stadium starting at 6:10 to at least 8:10, hopefully a little while longer, or what is that, 9:10, 3 hours after, or the 7th inning, whatever comes first in this crazy new baseball clock world we live in. So we'll be drinking our Coors Light, drinking the season goodbye, and looking forward to the future. So this episode is kind of a recap on this season and then a look forward. The recap, hopefully, is going to be very short and relatively painless. We talked about it last episode. The highlight of this season, and I'm not saying like what's the best highlight. The singular highlight of this season was the Tampa Bay Rays game on date. Phil, tell me the date.
Oh, I was talking about the Guardians game on May 19th.
Or the Guardians game. The Guardians game. I'm sorry.
May 19th, the Guardians game. That was the game where everything worked out for us.
That was the highlight of the season. Not the best highlight of the season, but the singular highlight of the season. And I realized like one of the bigger terms, I think, in the analytics world these days, at least in the fantasy world, is regression. And last season, when we were doing emergency podcasts like weekly, and at some points it felt like nightly, it was like, man, this is the most action-packed, fun, full of highlight season I could ever remember as a Mets fan, when I'm used to getting nothing but maybe a breadcrumb or two on the floor for like happiness. And we were just getting it every single night. We're having the time of our lives. And the fact that we go back to the next season and we get this, that is regression to the mean if I've ever seen it. So I was going to give like highlight of the season award. There's no highlight of the season. May 19th is the winner. It's the only nominee. That's all it is. Kyle, do you have anything else from the season that we should just mention here as we leave?
Francisco Lindor is good. 30 for 30 season. I know it's not 70 and 40 or whatever the fuck Cunha just put out, but listen, he plays every single day. He's the leader in the clubhouse. He's accountable. He stands in front of his locker and he talks after hearing all the shit from fans. So if you're going to walk away with anything, it's that we have a premier shortstop in the game who can play baseball very well. And then without him, we wouldn't have 72 wins or whatever we have.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who, when people were tweeting out the 30 for 30, tweets and stuff like that, they're like, in a worthless season, he's stat padding. All this stuff. Like, what do you want the guy to do? Just stop playing, not do well, and stop doing it? The batting average came up to 254, so we're above the 250 for like the Lindor to point at batting average. You want stats? You got stats. He's a great defender. He's a good guy in the clubhouse. I don't know what else. Like, if you're going to hate him, you're just going to hate him. I've moved on. I'm past the Lindor Kate. It is what it is. Phil, is there anything in particular you want to add from this season of absolute misery?
I just want to say, before the season started, I pointed out that if you want to make the playoffs, having good players helps, but the key to making the playoffs is having as little bad players as possible. And we have good players here. Pete's going to hit close to 50 home runs. Lindor 30-30. Brandon Nimmo, he's good. And then you look at the rest of the roster. They gave up a billion at bats to like Starling Marte, who was bad. Jeff McNeil, who wasn't good for a first half. Brett Beatty, 400 plate appearances, not good. Mark Vientos, 200 plate appearances, not good. You're just giving away at bats. The guys aren't producing. That's why you are where you are, along with the pitching. Max Scherzer stinks. I can go on and on, but yeah.
Yep. So those are all fair points. And Pete, I was saying to Kyle before we went live, I'm like, Pete is 4 short of 50. And it's like, if anyone could hit 4 in 4 games, it's Pete Alonso. So I hope he does it just to, get it on.
Especially if the Phillies are still like hungover as hell. It's definitely possible.
Dude, what's his name? Stubbs or Hubs or whatever, the dude on the Phillies who hit the home run after being the biggest partier in the clubhouse afterwards. Tip of the cap to him. That was one of the more impressive home runs I've ever seen in my life. The fact he was even in the lineup is amazing in itself. There's really not a lot of awards I want to give out. I want to give out, let's see, I don't know if MVP is the right word for it, but like player of the year for the Mets, for the big league club. Again, I could give it to any of one of the minors that basically got us through the season. Phil, who was your player of the year?
It's got to be Lindor, and it's really no other question about it. Like, he was one of the best players in baseball for a whole season, but also like from June on.
Okay. Kyle, who do you have?
I'm going to go same guy who's also the ace and Cy Young of the team. It's got to be Senga. 202 strikeouts, sub-3 ERA, first time ever. He's in a brand new country. We talk about players changing cities and having a difficult time adjusting. This dude is learning English. He's playing on different rules for baseball, and he still came out and dominated. And then credit to him, after the game, he said he doesn't want to be the ace next season. Go get better players.
He said that?
That. Yes, the actual quote. Hopefully next year I'm no longer the ace because we get good free agents or good trades to power up our rotation.
Love that. He's like, I'm a cog in the machine. I'm a 2-3 guy. Go get somebody better because if I'm your best guy, we're not going very far. And even then, he's still very good.
The best ability you could have is self-awareness. And shout out my guy, Kodai Senga, 2.98 ERA, under 3 ERA. If you had told me that before the season, like Kodai Senga is going to have a 2.98 ERA, his K per 9 is going to be 10.9, and Woody for this is with 1.2. I would have been like, holy shit, we're going to the World Series this year. We're winning 101. That's like the baseline of what we're going to win. And instead, he was our ace, which he doesn't want to be anymore. He's saying everything right. He's already said he's going to recruit Yamamoto if they want him to. I don't know if it's problematic when they're just like, oh, they're going to want to play with Senga because he's Japanese. So Ohtani and Yamamoto are going to come here, whatever it may be. I was going to choose Senga. I'll cheat a little. I'll go first half Francisco Alvarez because when we were all still living and dying with this team, there was not a lot of people that were keeping us alive at that point. Pete obviously got hurt. He was kind of up and down. Lindor had the bad batting average, even though anyone with a fucking set of eyes could see he was playing good, even though he did struggle a little bit for sure. But Alvarez, even though he kind of hit a rough patch, I think he was just fucking exhausted. He made us dream all the dreams that we were dreaming of him when we're seeing him in Syracuse just mash people and in Binghamton as well. So I'll give it the first half Francisco Alvarez just because I think you guys chose the 2 correct answers. So I'll go a little outside. Chat, feel free to add in whoever you guys think if there's anyone we missed there. All right, LVP. Let's work Phil into let's lather him into a fucking like real angry rant.
There's so many guys to fucking pick from. Like, obviously the guy isn't here anymore. Max Scherzer, go fuck yourself. We had to lie to him to just say like, oh, we aren't gonna go after free agents or stars this offseason. Meanwhile, now Jeff Passan's saying, oh, watch out for Juan Soto. Like that would be perfect.
Yeah.
But no, without that, it's Max Scherzer because every time we had a little bit of a run the first half, every time we were like, okay, maybe we have some momentum. Max Scherzer gets a 4 or 5 run lead. Gone. Doesn't do anything with it. Can't win. He had a 4 ERA when we traded him, and now he's trying to make it for the playoffs for the Rangers. whatever, fucking loser, just go away.
I like it. I like it a lot. Surpassed here says Tommy Pham, first half MVP. Coffee Milk said Robertson, who did have his time here. Both very fair. But I just loved go fuck yourself, Scherzer. We had to get like dunked on for a couple days when he had his quote, and then the quote got blown up because it's LOL Mets always. But yeah, it did feel like, I mean, we were losing our mind in this podcast. We're like, every time he starts, it blows up. Every time the team gets him the lead, he then gives it back the bottom of the inning. Max Scherzer was the mole, a double agent. He was fucking against us from the start. Tom Glavine was paying him. He's doing the chop, whatever nonsense you want to say. Phil the Tank almost just came out there. I've never seen Phil as close. Phil, don't start biting on those glasses right now, or else I'm going to be worried about you, pal. Kyle, who do you have for LVP out of the wide array of options we have here?
I don't know how you could pick anybody that isn't Max Scherzer, but since he's not on the team anymore, Starling Marte, biggest hit against the team. He was the guy who was the straw that stirs the drink last season, where as soon as he left the lineup, you lost all that electricity. You lost like the X factor that he could bring to it. And I mean, he's still MIA. He's not coming back. Buck said that he's not coming back. They're going to rest the hamstring, fix his groin, whatever the fuck it is that's going on with his lower half. I've never seen somebody that had like such heightened expectations from a fan base and myself to then do literally nothing and fuck a team over more.
Yeah, it's like I would love to know how much of it was on the Mets for not making him go through the right steps to get better. If it was just really fucked body, if it was him not going the right way about it. But we saw last year, we knew how important he was to the team. And then we saw it again this year because he absolutely sucked and the team sucked along with him. I asked you, Kyle, you didn't see it. Phil, did you see when Buck was reading the statement that they given him about Marte? And I don't know if it was from the PR department or the scouts or whatever. And he was going through how he's done for the season. Did you see that on the SNY Twitter feed?
I think I skimmed past it, but I just didn't care enough just because I was out of it.
Yeah, I just happened to listen to it. I don't know why. I clicked it and Buck was like, yeah, he's kind of out. He's out for the season. And he's like, player wants to come back. And he's like, you can tell he's kind of reading it. And the way Buck, he just seemed detached. And fuck, man, if I had to go 158 games with this team, I'd probably be in the same mode. But knowing what we know in terms of all these whispers about Buck, it almost felt like he's a kid that has summer break 4 days away and doesn't give a fuck about anything. He's trying to just going through the motions. So it did kind of feel like shit. This feels like the end of Buck's time here, which I'm sure we'll get into as well. My LVP, it's almost fucked up to do to this guy because I don't think he's played nearly as big of a role as the other guys that we mentioned. But man, there was a time here where this team had a good record whenever David Peterson didn't pitch, and I had those stats, and I just wish if he had just missed the first month of the season or just didn't make the team, whatever it might have been, I would have just liked to see if it was whoever else could have been there. I don't even know if Joey Flacco was even healthy enough to pitch back then, or literally anyone else.
He wasn't, but him and McGill have pitched themselves out of this rotation completely in my mind. I don't even think you give them a shot in spring training next year. It's develop into the bullpen because we need arms there. Or you're a long guy, you're a Trevor Williams type of situation for one of them. But Lucchesi is by far and away ahead of both of them in my mind.
You want to talk about a shot in spring training? David Peterson's ERA in spring, I think, was 0.00. Let's just be real honest. That doesn't matter in the slightest.
Right.
Yeah, that should be the thing. Anytime, Phil, I need you to do this for me. Next year, when we're doing this in March or February, whenever we're start it back up, and we start talking about the guy who's looking good in spring training, just slap me across the face with a sticker. It says 0.00 David Peterson's ERA in 2023 spring training.
I remember David Peterson also made a sick catch, he made a jump throw, and it was a highlight. He actually liked it on our account, which is funny. But I'm literally on his spring training. Here we go. 0.00 in 12 innings.
Jesus Christ.
He gave up one hit all of spring training.
But we didn't know this at the time because then when he went back down, he pitched well again. He's just a quadruple A pitcher, and he's throwing against guys who have a number 80-something jersey. So unless you're playing the Yankees where all their new guys are going to have that number, he's playing against nobodies.
I just don't, and I'd love to lump him and McGill and then say it was the pitching coach or it's this guy, it's that guy. But how they fell off after last year just makes no sense. 3.83 ERA last year wasn't great by any means, but to go from 3.83 to 5.37 now, as I look at his numbers here, 3.44, 554-383-537. Next year, boys, we're due for a 3-year right, just based on the simple on-off Giants black magic kind of shit. So I don't know what else to say about it, but it's like you can pretty much say the starting pitching other than Senga and Verlander were the LVPs in general. But there was a time where I remember I wrote a blog about Peterson.
Even Verlander, it's like he did miss a month of the season. Like we can't just forget that.
That's fair. And
let's say like Justin Verlander doesn't get put on the injured list 10 minutes for first pitch of the season, and we have momentum going out the gate. We don't have to rely on the McGills and the Petersons of the world like as much as we do. Maybe season difference. The biggest injury, although, was Jose Quintana back in March, which we still think if he doesn't get hurt, there's a chance that we're fighting for a while. There's a chance our season's on the line this weekend.
Yep. And we don't sell. And I mean, God, I'm almost happier that
I'd rather live in this reality than the one the Padres are in, where they're probably going to miss the playoffs by a game or two. And you're going to look back and be like, damn, we were so close.
Yep. Kyle, you're in the same boat, right?
It was years and years of them spending money on this roster, and they didn't go anywhere, or they just got in, they beat us in the wild card, and then they didn't make it all the way. It's like they tried to spend their way out of it, and credit to them for trying, but it did not work.
Yep. So Quintana here, 3.39 ERA, 1.2 WHIP. I would have signed up for those numbers. Again, you tell me that's his numbers and Senga's numbers, and I'm figuring Verlander and Max. And I remember Verlander even said on his way out, he's like, I pitched all right, but I also was hurt for a month, and he kind of took that on the chin. He admitted that kind of fucks it up because then you're making McGill pitch games where he should be back in the minors and Peterson and stuff like that. So
how much of this falls on Hefner? Do you think he makes it out of this season alive? Because he's already survived another management change. So he was the holdover. Buck's now here. If Buck goes, I don't think you could keep him for another one. DeGrom was basically his shield forever because he's he keeps getting hurt, but he's phenomenal when he's pitching. Did a great job with Walker last year and those guys, but this year has not been good.
He was well respected enough to where, let's say fire Jeremy Hefner, he'll land on his feet and get a pitching coach job elsewhere. We'll forget about it. But I wouldn't be shocked, like I said, if Stearns just brings in his own guys. That's
They already cleared house for the analytics people, so it's Verlander complained about him not getting in-depth enough reports and all that kind of stuff. So that's a byproduct,
If you telling Steve Cohen that he has bad analytics guys, bad numbers guys, is like telling Portnoy, oh yeah, your content people, there's something rotten in there. That's not good. That's the axe is coming out and he's swinging. So that was
I'm
bad
imagining he's going to create the Bloomberg terminal for baseball. It's going to be some sort of supercomputer that is just going to revolutionize the game. Hire some genius from MIT or wherever the fuck, away from NASA, to come in here and just change baseball. That's what I need.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Stearns does. And again, at this point, it's in Stearns we trust. We don't have a fucking choice, so I might as well just let him just fucking do whatever he's going to do. He knows a little bit about baseball than I do, I'd say. So we're just going to let him cook. Whatever he needs to do, Bear Stearns, let him fucking cook in there. I saw who was the not Mets related, but shout out to JD. It's about winning games, Davis. Phil, JD Davis will give MVP as a non-Met as well, right?
As a non-Met, he can go fuck himself. Someone pulled me up to stats. Since July 1st on, okay, hold on, wait, Twitter screwed me up. Since July 1st on, JD Davis hit 211, 284, 364 on the season, a 648 OPS. It's about winning games. What the hell's going on out there? Forget about what's going on out there. It's about winning games. Buddy, the Giants were 2.5 games back at the fucking Dodgers at the trade deadline. The Dodgers are going to finish 20 games ahead of them. This is another second half collapse by Gabe Kapler. We saw that shit. I'm spitting. I'm fucking drunk.
Oh, he's turning into Frank.
Fucking Gabe Kapler collapses in Philly. He lost his job there. Now Gabe Kapler's having collapses in fucking San Francisco. But JD Davis, our culture is great. Go fuck yourself.
Phil the Tank has come out.
Oh my God.
There are very few players that piss me off that much, but it's like the Drake line. Bench players talking like starters. I hate it. He fucking sucked with us. He sucks with them, but all of a sudden he has the fucking audacity to talk like a star. fucking asshole.
Yes. Oh, we've gotten Phil in his final form. This is
God.
what we needed here. Kevin was supposed to come on. That's why we ended up recording a little late. And then he had something come up. He had a guest come in early. He can't really do anything when the guest is in. That would have been good if we had Mark Cuban just be the special guest on We Gotta Believe today. Mark, what are your thoughts on the 2023 Mets? Phil, just let it fly. Whenever you feel that anger burn, just let it out.
I mean,
that was tremendous. So, all right. So JD Davis, not a friend. Kevin's guy too back in the day. So I would love to see a Phil. I mean, Kevin wouldn't even defend him at this point. I think I think David Peterson might have been my guy heading into the season. I almost want to watch our opening day gala and just see like who we were excited about, just like the life in our eyes, all probably saying 95 to 110 wins for this team after last year, and just being dead fucking wrong.
My guy is no longer on the team, and I'm very happy for him. Mark Canna. Ride or die, the biggest form of a ride or die, no matter what. Shout out to him for silencing all the critics, and then we're going to get into that too with Alonso in the clubhouse.
Yep. So I still have one more award I want to get into, but since you mentioned it here, shout out Mark Canna. This is what he said about Pete Alonso after all the bullshit, unfounded rumors that people are starting about him being the clubhouse cancer or whatever. And he says about Alonso, he feels like such a New York guy. He really embraces that role. He's so all in on the Mets. I love playing with Pete. Saying that he's a problem in the clubhouse couldn't be further from the truth. I could say, oh, well, everyone has their own opinion, but I honestly can't imagine how anyone would come to the conclusion that Pete is a problem in the clubhouse. It's the opposite of that. Pete is a big part of the identity of the New York Mets. Not to mention he's a world-class perennial power hitting first baseman that doesn't come around very often, and one of the best hitters I've ever seen in my life. Pete's an amazing human and an amazing baseball player. Quite frankly, I can't say it enough. Leave the man out of it. He's one of the best baseball players I've ever seen at hitting a baseball. It's incredible. He's the most pure-hearted guy you could ever meet in a clubhouse. So basically, Mark Canna took like the quotes that were coming from Martino or the people on WFAN or whatever and being like, everything that guy just said was bullshit. My cousin Vinny'd those guys. And shout out Mark Canna. Mark Canna was supposed to come on the show, and we had to cancel last minute, unfortunately. Then he got traded the next week. But the fact he's always just seemed like a good fucking dude. He played baseball. It was just like, not, I wouldn't say Mark Canna's fun to watch, but like we had some fucking awesome moments with the guy in the year and a half he was here. And just like a statement like that, A, that's a good fucking teammate to stand up for you. And B, you have to be a very good teammate for a guy to put his name and like go that far out of, you don't really see those kind of like, dressing down a rumor from a guy who's not even on the team anymore. He has no reason to do that at all. He's Mark Canna. He's probably going to retire in a couple of years and never have to think about Pete Alonso again. And he clearly fucking like him. So Phil, can I just say that's all? Can we say it's pretty much bullshit, or at least not nearly the fucking fire it became?
Yeah, it's not as. I do think I wouldn't be surprised if there is like a minorities of people in the clubhouse that don't like Pete. And I don't know what the fuck they're filming. Like, I feel like there's like a fight going on. But yeah, I think there's like a minority section of the clubhouse, like 5% of the clubhouse maybe doesn't like him, and it just blew up into like 95% according to WFAN Salicata.
Well, it's like when we talk on here, we preface it with like, we don't know what the fuck we're talking about. Like, this is an opinion. It's like they talk as if they know. He works for SNY in addition to WFAN, and someone else on the radio station will say something, and then they'll report it on their show, and then they'll be like, nobody said that. We never said that. It's like
it's always the bald guys too, and they're
fine.
Bad bald guys. Clem, you're a good bald guy.
Yep.
Gaz is a good bald guy. Chuck's a good bald guy. All the bald guys here, great bald guys.
Yep.
Cons, large. The bald guys WFAN, just
bad ball guys.
I don't know what's in their head. It's not brains.
People asked if we were going to do Podfather. We did a Podfather show the other day just to like a catch up, and someone's like, "It's going to be on YouTube." And Joey tweeted out a picture of the three of us. He's like, "No, we're fucking three bald old dudes. We're not going to fucking do. No one wants to see that on a podcast." But those guys are. Hey, they got to do whatever they got to do for their clicks to get the ratings up. Whatever the fuck it is. It is annoying, and it's been a thing here in New York forever, where it's like you have the Manish Metas with the Jets, you have the Andy Martinos with the Mets, and sometimes they're reporting the fire from the fucking blaze that's going on. And it's like, yeah, of course, there's plenty to do. But there's also been enough times, Manish Mehta got fucking exposed for this, where they're just making something out of nothing and they're doing it. And hey, listen, as a blogger who could fucking write about the, tire fires that are going on in the city at any given moment with the sports teams, it's good for clicks. If it bleeds, it leads. And he's done that. Martino has done that kind of shit. And now we're kind of like seeing it go through other places, and it's fucking maddening. And like that DJ Short tweet that I said the other day, where it's like, for like the 38th year of my life, the solution to the Mets problems is trading their best player. It's like, what are we talking about right now? So it's ridiculous. It's annoying Pete has to go through it, but whatever at this point. I will say, like we've said it on the podcast, it does seem like Pete's just a different dude, but I don't think that makes him a bad guy. It's just like, you have people that could be like nice people, good people, but they're just different. Pete's, I think, just a big old lovable blockhead who could hit the fuck out of home runs and seems to have like a good heart. Everything you've heard about him for his teammates with the 9/11 stuff, the different charities, all that stuff. Just a good dude that's like somehow indestructible and hits home runs, which is not something we get here very often.
It's like, if you're gonna have a corny dude in the clubhouse, you want that guy who hits fucking 46 home runs and has 115 RBIs. Like, the people who are upset about that or like have to deal with him regularly, go sit on the other side of the clubhouse. He's still going to get you wins. They're like, as much as players, if there's any that don't like him in the clubhouse, they will gladly trade that for the amount of wins and runs he drives in and protection in the lineup so they can get better numbers for themselves. Like, if he's that guy and he's shitty, yeah, fine. Then he'd be gone. But like, the fan base loves him. The owner loves him. He's becoming the face of the franchise. I don't know if that's maybe the issue. There's jealousy in the clubhouse, but he's going to get his bag. He's going to hit 40-something home runs, and he's going to hit 100-plus RBIs. That's it.
That's it. I'm trying to think of like another player I could bring up to Phil right now just to get him into one more lather here and just have people like, where's this been all season, Phil? I think this was growing in Phil all year.
No,
and now
there's been nothing for me to be happy about for 7 months. Like, yeah, that's where this Phil's been. Like, hatred is just going to fuel me because now, like I said, only one team gets to win the World Series. One team, I hope it's the team I hate the least that ends up winning it all. I get to see like 11 of my fucking enemies just fall. That's going to make me happy.
Oh, I love it. I love it, Phil. I love it. Bathing in people's tears. All right. So the low light. All right. I guess this will get Phil going one more time. My last thing I wanted to touch on here. The low light of the season, the lowest point for you that you can remember. I mean, like it's almost like Office Space today is the worst day of my life.
The Brave series in June. There's no debate about that.
The Brave series in June. Okay, Kyle, what's your low light?
I don't even know if I could pinpoint one thing. I feel like I'm having like Vietnam flashbacks just trying to think of it. I'm like, there's just so much material from this season. I couldn't even tell you. How about us sweeping the Athletics and then Frank calling it a moral sweep, and then we fucking immediately. That's like kind of the part that makes you sick because I will never say he was right, but this team fucking stunk and he called it out immediately, and like we kind of knew that because we kept seeing the signs, but not enough to hit the eject button month one. Got to give the man credit. He's going to say that no matter what, but with this team, you're going to be somewhat right no matter what because they haven't won since '86.
Yeah, like Kev said, like if you just say this team isn't going to the World Series this year, it's like, yeah, that's you have a 29 out of 30%, 29 out of 30 team chance to be right there. Mine was that goddamn Phillies game, that game in with the balk, the walk, just like the fucking disaster. Clemmer was there. That was a Kunzel moment for I remember a lot of people. And it was like, again, I think I've killed the Kunzel in my mind because of Cohen, but that was just awful. It was just awful. Yeah. I feel like Phil's jumping out of his skin right now, like reliving all this stuff.
I mean, yeah, like people said in the chat, doubleheader to the Tigers. We had Verlander and Scherzer both pitching a series versus them, got swept. Castellani was dancing on us. Braves game an extra innings loss in the Philly. What was our extra? Oh, the 10th inning. That was the sweep. Okay, I thought it was a different Braves game. I was about to flip. And I guess the lowest point probably the World Baseball Classic before it even started, if you even want to count that.
Yep. Boom. Correct answer right there as well. I'm trying to think if there was any like LOL Mets. Was there any like big LOL Mets moment?
Like Brett Beatty dropping a pop-up maybe? Or, I mean, think about it. Oh, was it that Brett Beatty error or this Brett Beatty error?
Someone says, does Beatty make Phil angry? I think the answer we're skewing towards yes.
He was a top 30 prospect in all of baseball this year that we expected to be bare minimum a league average player, and we gave 300 at-bats, play appearance to someone that we don't know if he's good enough to be a starter next year.
So clearly the one is better than the other in terms of talent. There's no doubt about it. However, who do you think is more bummed out right now? Brett Beatty or Garrett Wilson? The buddies from fucking, elementary
Brett
school.
Beatty's gonna have an MLB. Brett Beatty's season's over, so he can enjoy himself. Like he can grind on the gym, the cage, whatever. Garrett Wilson has 14 more weeks off of Zach Wilson, Trevor Siemian, so his hell is just starting now.
Yeah, it's going to get colder, and the hits are only going to hurt more as he goes over the middle, and he has to look at Randall Cobb and Alan Lazard. And no offense, Kyle, but those guys would not be getting the money they got if Aaron Rodgers.
Randall Cobb was retired. He just didn't announce it because Aaron Rodgers called him before he could, and was like, "Wait, come to New York real quick."
Oh my God! Hey, he has cute kids, nice wife. Good for him. Very happy for Randall Cobb. By the way, that Hail Mary, if it just fell to the ground or got intercepted, but the fact that it could have been caught by Cobb and it wasn't, was the cruelest thing they could have done to Jets fans there.
I just want to say something. I tweeted out off the main account. It was the Pats win 15 in a row versus the Jets because I thought the game was over because I saw Dave's tweet saying the game was over. I didn't realize there's a lot of Hail Mary chance. I was like, fuck, if this Hail Mary is completed,
God,
I'm going to be screwed.
God, that's terrifying, dude. That's terrifying. All right, so now we're gonna look towards next season. Basically, it's gonna be the same thing. I'm so happy we can at least end one of these fucking things once and for all. The Ohtani sweepstakes are gonna start. It's going to be much different than it was if he hadn't gotten hurt. Obviously, he's still looking to pitch at some point. He just fucking bounced on the Angels, which actually shows good decision making on his part. He's like, I'm not going to stick around with these fucking losers anymore. I'm going to get my surgery. I'm going to get right, and I'm going to get fucking paid. So the Ohtani sweepstakes are coming. And then the other thing is we got Jeff Passan said, I'm allowed to say Jared Carrabis' podcast. I believe we're allowed to say that again now. The Mets are a scary possibility for Juan Soto. Mets ownership has shown the aptitude and the desire to sign guys like Soto long term. If Jeff Passan says it, it's at least a possibility. What do we think about the idea of trading for Juan Soto instead of hoping he signs here in a year and not giving up prospects? Right?
Bob Nightingale has been putting this out there for the past few months, and it's Bob Nightingale, so that's why it's okay, let's wait for someone actually real to say it. Jeff Passan saying this gives it's credibility. There's nobody I trust more than Jeff Passan. I think you're better off trying to trade for him now because if a team trades for him now, they're likely going to extend him anyway. So this is also kind of similar to what happened. I mean, God forbid, thank God it didn't happen. Machado gets extended. He was supposed to be our guy for this free agency. Now the Padres are stuck with Manny Machado. Maybe he just doesn't care enough for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
But if you were to tell me that we could flip, say, I don't know, just because they're new, Luis Angel and some lower level guy for Soto and basically turn Max Scherzer into Juan Soto, yes, that'd be the most funny thing ever, and I would gladly do that.
Yes, and I agree. If you put it in those terms and you say, listen, it's almost like this was found money, these prospects that we didn't know we were going to get anyway. And we have gone over the Juan Soto thing a million times. If you want more Juan Soto breakdown by us knuckleheads, we've talked about it for 2 years now. He's a fucking statue player. You build a statue for the guy. He's younger than half of the quote unquote baby Mets.
25 years old next month. So he'll be next season will be his age 25 season. I don't care if we're giving up a 23-year-old for him.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like the Peter Griffin. It could be anything, even a boat. It's if these guys are even hit their ceiling of ceilings, they're still not going to be Juan Soto, who's a future Hall of Famer, who had a rough start to the year. Right now, 275 average, 929 OPS, 35 home runs, 108 RBIs, leads the lead in walks at 129, and has 95 runs on a dog of a Padres team. And none of the stuff about the Padres clubhouse and stuff has been about him, really, right? It seems like it's a Machado thing more than anything.
Yeah, for the most part.
And they are just up to their eyeballs in bullshit. They had to give Xander Bogaerts his deal. Tatis is there. There's a lot of money in San Diego that should be going to other players. Hopefully,
I just want to trash on the Padres a bit more.
Yeah,
they're the most unclutch team in MLB history. That's not me trolling. That's legitimately a fact. And Padres fans themselves will even say that. Last night was their first win in extra innings this season. They were 0-12 in extra innings entering last night.
Wow.
I think their record in one-run games, I think it was 7-26. It's something they legitimately should be a 95-win team, per their expected thing. I'm pulling it up right now. One-run games, San Diego Padres. This is awful radio, but I need to. 7-23 in one-run games.
That's
if you're
preposterous.
if you're even like bad in 1-run games, they're a playoff team.
Yeah, I saw
And-
Castellani blog. A miracle happened in baseball last night. The San Diego Padres won an extra inning game, 1-12 in extra inning games this season. I mean, that's just fucking putrid.
It just makes no sense. Like, and you look at all their guys, like, oh, Soto's having a solid year. Tatis, maybe not his best year, but he's still playing good. Manny's gonna have fine stats. Bogart's having fine stats. Blake Snell's gonna win Cy Young. Josh Hader, reliever of the year. And now it's like, oh, this team's gonna be 500. Like,
Yep.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and Josh Hader said the other day where he apparently he didn't come in for a 4-out save because they're not in a playoff race.
This has been a thing with Hader for a while. I mean, he has before. Outside of last year's playoff game versus the Dodgers where he went 4 outs, he hasn't gone 4 outs in a game since 2020, which
Jesus
is
Christ.
Allegedly part of the reason was the Brewers wouldn't let him because it would increase his cost in arbitration, and now maybe his arm isn't like meant to do that. Either way, I'm staying away from Josh Hader just because I don't need that on my team.
Yeah, and all the other shit we had to deal with him too. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Kyle, what are your thoughts on Juan Soto? If you had a trade now, again, like if it's like one of the big guys and then a couple little sprinkles on top because that's the way that these trades seem to work for these guys who are going to command. There's like 5 teams in baseball who will pay Soto. They're not going to probably trade him to the Dodgers in division, which is awesome. So it's like we're one of the other few teams that might do it.
I am the wrong person to ask this because I have been of the belief that Juan Soto will solve all the problems in my life since the Nationals won the World Series. Like Ohtani coming to the market, everybody's hyping up Ohtani, 2-way player, greatest guy we've ever seen, generational talent. And in the back of my head, I'm like, I'd still rather have Juan Soto. I don't know why. I can't put my finger on it, but he's going to solve all of our problems if he comes to this club. And I don't think there's a single player that would be untouchable if he becomes available, and that you could lock him up long term. Because you need the Mookie Betts situation where they get him and then he's signed well out before he even gets anywhere near free agency. And I don't know what the negotiations look like for a trade like that, if they get to talk to the player before the trade. But if you could be like, well, he's open to negotiation, because who's his agent? Is it Boris?
Yeah, he's a Boris client.
Oh,
right. So it's one of those things where it's
we have
like,
a good relationship with Boris.
That's
yeah,
true,
we
that's
do
true.
because we give him tons of money. But I think you're dealing with a guy who's coming off of a low for him, going from the Nationals where he could have been a $500 million player and he was like, no, I'm good. I'm going to go get more money someplace else. I'm going to believe that he's going to be of that same thought process. So again, if you can guarantee me that we sign him long-term, go get him now. I don't want him on some other team where he's going to sign long-term.
Yep, that's fair. That's fair. Well, I guess this will be the one thing that's going to come up nonstop. Soto versus Ohtani. You could only have one. Prospects, no problem. Who gives a fuck? That's the thing. If you're saving a couple prospects, you're not going to think about prospects in 3 years, 5 years, unless they become Juan Soto, right? Or even anything close. So if you had to choose one, regardless of money, who are you taking here, Soto or Ohtani?
Soto, just because he's younger.
That's
And I
fair.
think you know more what you're getting.
Yep. And Ohtani still wants to pitch, so credit to him. And you're going to possibly have a guy who could be a top elite pitcher if he comes back healthy for 2 or 3 more seasons, at which point he's then have to choose, and he's probably going to pick position player, and then you're paying a position player as a 2-way player. It's just not a good math there.
Yep. I think Yamamoto's kind of number one on our list because we just got to pay him a shitload of money. He sounds awesome in Japan. Everything with Senga worked out aces for us so far. And so I think that's number one. There's no one. I mean, I haven't looked at the free agent list lately, but we were talking about it a couple weeks ago and it didn't look great. There's no one out there, Phil, that you're like, oh, this is another guy, right?
I mean, maybe there's some guys in the trade market worthy, but
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't hate the guys with no qualifying offer attached. I wouldn't hate a Jordan Montgomery. He's pitched in New York before. Maybe Jack Flaherty. Take a flyer on him. You're good. Stearns is very good at finding pitchers off the scrap heap and turning them into gems. So whenever he does do his magic there, I'm fine with. I don't want to touch the Blake Snells of the world.
I was just gonna say you want to steer clear of Blake Snell. If he's not asking for too much, we do need a lefty. So he is going to be in discussion all offseason. You just know he is. I don't know.
He's either about a league average pitcher or winning the Cy Young. That's what his career is.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I could talk myself into whoever Stearns is going to sign. You tell me, hey, Stearns has done this, done that. If he likes him, I like him. That's kind of just the way it is, right?
If David Stearns signs Luis Severino, I could talk to myself and I was like, yeah, he was really good before Frankie Borelli cursed him. This
Right.
is just what we need.
Dude, I was talking myself into Dylan Betances on Christmas Eve. I'll never forget that. That was the lowest of the low. Oh, God almighty. And that was like our big fucking sign. God, just a reminder how much worse it can be, guys. There were some dark days. We're hopefully past those. I can't say we are past those because this season sucks so much. And then I guess we'll wrap up the episode on this. If you, I don't know if I should say if you could pick or if you think. All right, we'll just say if you could pick. Do you want to give Buck one more season, lame duck, maybe even extend him for a year or two? But you're also realizing Buck Showalter is your manager for a new regime in the front office with a team that has kind of hit the reset button and starting fresh? Or does it just make sense to just chop it off? Kind of what the Giants did. They just said, Gettleman, you're gone. So is Joe Judge. Everything is fucking fresh and new, and we're starting anew. Kyle.
Without an extension, you got to move on. If they're going to give him the extension and like give him like a little bit of leeway, wiggle room for the upcoming season, then I'm okay with it. But if they're just going to have him play out his contract this year, then he's going to at least think to himself that he's lame duck.
Yeah.
And you just don't want that situation. You don't want that bad.
I feel like he's always been a lame duck this year. Like the way he's
there's no other really great options on other guys that are going to come in and make me like excited for the season. And I think that's why I'm a little hesitant to say get rid of him. Who's out there that you guys want?
I think Buck is going to step down. Like I already think like he's not coming back next year. And we're just going to have manager interviews where all 5 guys are the same person. We'll find a way to hate them in April or something. Frank will have nicknames pre-planned. So I think Buck's going to be gone, and whoever.
I'll tell you this much: if they get an Aaron Boone type of fucking or like the analytics guy, where it's just like a readout every single week of the same
basically
shit.
a puppet.
Yes,
yeah.
that will drive me insane because at least it seems like Buck has like an idea of what's going on with the game and the little intricacies. And they're like he's such a student of the game. Like I'd rather have somebody who's like baseball knowledgeable over book smart. There's plenty of book smart guys already in the clubhouse.
Yeah. I mean, if you had a Buck who knows what the fuck, it usually feels like that's the bench coach, and then the manager is the fucking guy just getting the numbers fed to him.
Right.
Again, it's going to come down to Stearns. If Stearns wants him, great. If he doesn't, great. Whatever the fuck Stearns wants, he gets in my book. And I think Uncle Stevie's going to turn over the reins to him. The wallet's going to go to him. Everything's going to go to him. And I am going to be sad if Buck gets fired or retires, whatever you want to call it, and leaves, just because I did like him. But at the same point, like. It does feel like it's a new franchise here, and it's like you're getting a new car. You kind of have to have a new engine in the new car at this point as well. So we'll see what happens. Moving forward for the off season now, this is our last pod of the regular season or whatever. When big shit happens, if fucking the Mets sign someone else at 3 a.m, and Kevin and I happen to be awake because we're old and we're going to the bathroom, we'll jump on for the emergency pods. Anything big, hopefully our boy Yamamoto, manager, all that kind of stuff. We'll hop on for the emergency. So subscribe to the We Gotta Believe YouTube. Before then, we will be again. Barstool the Ballpark tickets are still on sale. If you want to drink a ton of beer, for a limited beer, watch the Mets one last time. Citi Field has some discounts on some concessions and some merch. If you're in certain spots, you go there, hang out with us an hour beforehand. We'll be in the Southfield lot tailgating. So
anyone's welcome to the tailgate. Come through. Coors Light giveaways. We're gonna have visors, shirts, cornhole, beer.
I already told Frank he's welcome to come too. Clemmer, they're welcome to come.
Yep, Clemmer's coming as well. Yep, I talked to him already.
And
if you want to come and ask Phil about other things he doesn't like, he'll unleash a rant on you as well. I like it. Feisty Phil Thursday. This was fun, man. I had a blast. So again, shitty season. I think we could all just flush it down the toilet. It starts new with David Stearns next year, starting this off season. So fucking let 2023 rot in hell. Into 2024 we go. Next year. There's always next year. Gotta believe.